Now let's go ahead and talk about generic functions. But before we talk about generic functions, let's go ahead and write a function that is going to give us the first element when you pass an array. So if I have an array over here, it's simply going to return us the first element. If it doesn't exist, it will return nil. So how do we do it? Well, we simply call array, the thing that you actually passed in, dot first. Okay, so that is going to give you the first element. Now, if I go ahead and run this application, and if I have an array, and if I want to pass it, let's see what happens. So I have names, and I have a couple of different names, Alex, John Doe, and I will have Stephen. If I want to use this, I can call first element. I can simply pass in names, and it's going to return me optional of that particular first element, which you can see is coming out to be Alex. Now you have already learned how to unwrap it, right? So this is going to be your test. If let first name equals to first element, passing in the names, and now we can go ahead and get the first name. There we go. Great. But this only works with string arrays because it actually takes in a string. If I want to do the same operation, but I want to do it on numbers, I will have to create another function. Well, you don't, because you can use generics. In generics, you will simply pass in the type. The T over here is a type. This is basically saying that we don't know the type. It can be string, but it can be anything else also. So T, I mean, you don't have to say T, you can say K, you can say T, you can say type, you can say type like this, but usually people use T, okay? So this is a type that will be represented by either the thing that is being returned, the return value, or the type that we are taking in. So we can replace the string with T and the string with T. This means that this particular function is now going to work on any kind of type, not only string. What is the type? Well, we don't know, because when you call this function, then you're going to supply the type. So let's go ahead and see what happens now. If I simply go ahead and uncomment this code, and I run this, I still get Alex, which is great, but what about if I have an array of numbers? So if I say numbers, and I have, different numbers over here, the great thing is that now I can actually call that on the number. So number equals to first element and array of T, meaning any type that you can pass, and I can pass in the numbers, and then I can go ahead and print out the number. So it's great because now we didn't have to create separate functions. We only had to create a single function which is based on that you will be providing generic types to it. Generic type simply means that we don't know the type. It can be anything. It can be string, it can be Boolean, it can be double, it can be an object, it can be anything. And this gives us more of a basically flexibility so that we didn't have to create one for the string and one for the numbers. We just created one which is called first element, and this is just going to return us the first element, and that's it. So this is the generic functions in Swift language.